All right. Hello, everyone, today. Hello, everybody. So we're back. We're back. I'm just laughing because I have one of the most phenomenal shows for you today. I mean, it is fantastic. So let me just get started. Let me get out the preliminaries out of the way. All right. So you know who I am. I'm Mr. Lucky. I am your host today for Following the Signs, which is a nonprofit organization. Let me tell you a little bit about our organization if you're not aware of it. Our mission is changing our community by strengthening its people. Our vision is to see all people with an awareness of herbal health. Actually, we like to see the whole planet with an awareness of herbal health because actually our planet is going through a metamorphosical change right now. And from what I'm hearing, if we don't do something about it soon, we're all going to be victims of a catastrophic event. So it's more important now than ever before that we get our minds together and let our minds get together with our common sense and work for a solution that can work and benefit for everyone. So I am broadcasting to you live from the fabulous, magnificent Blot Podcast Network. And the view here is fantastic. If you were here, you would be in the window like I am all the time when I'm here. So what is Blot? Blot is a magnificent organization. It's actually in the business of developing or helping to develop our future by building business leaders of tomorrow today. And actually, I can say I am a proud graduate of Blot. I have learned so much from this organization. It is magnificent. So moving right along, let me also say that if you've been having any problems with your car, if you've been seeing that everything you do is just taking money out of your pocket, take your car to Touch Above Auto. It's located at 2530 Hamilton Avenue. Telephone number is 216-862-1481. Ask for Dan the Man. When you put your car in Dan's hands, your car would definitely be taken seriously and treated accordingly. So that's it for today. So let me find. Xavier has something to say. As usual, it's time for our announcements. So it's very important that we get these announcements out. Following the Signs is growing. It's not a staggering rate, but it's growing, not only in population, but it's also growing in input. We're becoming more understanding about the situation that we're in, with the things we're going to talk about today, which is inflation, which is recession, which is inappropriate schooling, not giving us the opportunity, not giving most people the opportunity to learn for themselves. So we're in a manipulative state, and this is where we seem to be putting our heads together, and we're coming up with a lot of solutions. Also, I'd like to say a little bit about our project, which is the FTS Lavender Project. So we're working together, organizing it, building, putting it together, and eventually, well, not eventually, in the summer, we're going to produce it and get it on the road, and everybody become aware of what's going on with it. Now, let me relax a little bit because I'm always kind of tense when I get around you because you people grab my heart. You know, I mean, you put me in a position where I love, and usually it's hard to love something, but I definitely love being here, and I love even more sharing this time with you and getting the feedback that I get when I talk to you. So today we're going to talk about something that most people have forgotten about. These situations we're going through today has always been around. It's nothing new. Back in the 40s, we were all starving. There was a depression. It was terrible. People were walking down the street with nothing. Blacks were coming up from the South with nothing and with nowhere to go. People were literally starving on the streets. Finally, someone came up with, listen, why don't we take what we have and let's live off of that. Let's see if we can take what we have and build from that. So dealing with so many overcrowded cities, people had limited space. So there was really nowhere they could put their teeth into what their agricultural history was all about. Then they came up with the Victory Garden. The Victory Garden is something I think started in like the 20s, 30s, and 40s. I think it was over with by the 50s. But what that is when a person would just take what little space they have and plant something that they can live off of. It wasn't about beauty. It was about survival. I say again, it was about survival. And that's the number one thing should be on everyone's mind right now. So that Victory Garden grew. At the time, the cost of the Victory Garden was only 50 cents because you could buy a pack of seeds for 50 cents. The most important part was for the people who were aware of the herbal gardens. Those are the people who had an opportunity to survive. It didn't matter if they lived in a trailer. It didn't matter if they lived on a railroad track. They had a can they carried everywhere they went that had a nutritional growth from it. Also, at that time, there were changes in attitudes. We were trying to change from an industrial to a rural and back to a industrial again. So it was a shift in the people's minds. All right, so fast forward today. We're in the same situation. We need a way to survive. Now we're going to talk about what is that? That's about container gardens. In a time that we're living through now with recession and depression going around and the price of everything getting higher and higher and higher, we have to understand that we don't have a lot of room. So we do a container garden, which is exclusively from a container. Now that's something we can get off into deeper. But for now, I'd like to turn my attention to my co-host. This is Brandy. Brandy is a career development specialist. She has said, Mr. Lucky, I'm going to come on your show and I'm going to tell some of the people about the most interesting things that I can tell them about herbs, and her knowledge on herbs is fantastic. She's taught me so much since she's been here. So I'd like to introduce Brandy. Brandy, how are you today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm just fine, thank you. Did you have any problems, any trouble getting here?
Well, no, not really. It's always traffic. It's around that time. Like, what is it, 6 o'clock? That little normal, everybody want to get off work and going home and going to their favorite food place and getting here, so.
Yeah. Well, I hope their food place starts off with getting some healthy herbs.
I doubt it. I highly doubt it.
Well,
I'm sorry. A lot of people love fast foods because it's easier to make a fast food than to go get something that is healthier for you, because a fast food restaurant is more convenient than going home to cook a dinner, because majority of America has more than 2 children in their home. So them having more than 2 children in the home, them either being married or not being married, getting off work around the time between 5 and 6 is so convenient to go to a fast food restaurant, because it's literally right around the corner. Then going to the grocery store, making a salad or making some baked chicken or making anything that is good for you to consume. It's faster. They think, why not?
Why not? That's interesting. We can get back on that later. I find that I do that, and I need to know what's going on in my head too. So you may have to just go inside and find out what that's about. All right. So I know you're so versed on so many things. I just would like to ask you: is there any one particular? Well, you know what? I do have one particular question. How can herbs really help people?
Herbs can help you mentally, working with your well-being, raising your self-esteem, and helps you set goals and achieve the challenges in your life that you would like to overcome.
That's very interesting. Is there another phase to that, or do I take that and build from there?
I believe that you can build from it, but it all starts in the mind.
Okay.
Like, you have to mentally want to do it, mentally see. Like, it's really like step. Like I said, like achieving the goals is really steps.
All right.
Like, you have to take the steps. You have to actually do the research in order to really want to do it.
Oh, I understand. Okay, that's good. Okay. So in that case, if people can take the steps, is there a chance that some of these herbs can help them with some of their emotional anxieties?
Yes. One of them are calamine, lavender, passion flower, and saffron, if I'm saying it correctly.
I think you are. One of the things you said is lavender, and lavender always sticks in my mind because it's one of my favorite plants. You know, the Lavender Project is about growing as much lavender as we can, harvesting it, and using it to put into depressed neighborhoods and try and change those emotional anxieties. Just to help to do it. We're not dealing with mental health because I'm not a mental health specialist, but I do know what herbs and the properties of herbs can do to help people. And Brandon, you really brought that to the forefront. These anxieties that some of these herbs can help, is there a way that they can put it together to consume it?
Well, I do have one herb that I actually am very knowledgeable about. The dandelions, you can boil the dandelions and drink it as a tea. Just as much as lavender helps you relax, dandelions can help you with that also. It can help you with kidney disease, swelling, skin problems, heartburn, and stomach problems if you have them.
Are you kidding?
Yes.
So I've been spending all my money at the store trying to get rid of that McDonald's heartburn that won't go away. It gets vicious after every belch. Pardon me. I could have just got something natural.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me ask you a question, because I know you're very knowledgeable about a lot of things. If I eat a certain variety of meat, should I be concerned with the fact that meat may have something in it that's contaminating to my body, and that an herb would neutralize that and allow me to extract the good part of the meat, and the herb would help me to release the bad part?
I will say this. It depends on how much and what is the portion and the serving of the meat. And are you consuming the meat with a vegetable?
I
With
would
your
hope so.
With your herb. Are you consuming it with the vegetable?
Yes, I would. Yeah, I would assume so. I think most people put vegetables. They don't mix vegetables and herbs. I think a lot of people just either do one or the other. Do you think it's important that people mix both of them?
It plays a part. You can do both of them. It just depends. Are you eating a green vegetable?
More than likely, yes.
Okay, then you can do it.
But you must be right, because I know when I go to Roop Chris, what was the name of that place? Morton's, or one of the other expensive places, they always seem to have an herb there with the vegetable. And then you got the portion of meat. And usually the meat is not that much of a proportion. So you're absolutely right. So let me ask you this. A container garden is a garden that you can grow in something as small as a coffee can. But what's so important, and I know that you maybe can help me with this, is that what would all be needed to start a container garden?
You would need a pot. You would need some soil. I mean, I only say in a pot because you want to be able to individually try to do them, unless you're just trying to do a big. I mean, I know about container garden, but that's trying to do like a real big one. If you really want to separate it, I feel like for it to grow the way that you want it to, I feel like a pot would be necessary.
That's good. So if I didn't have much money and I didn't have a pot, I remember back in the 50s, they would use a hot water tank.
You could do that also.
They would just plant a hot water tank in the ground, and then they would use it as a garden. That's one thing. Another is the coffee can. I've always remembered how that coffee can was so important. And I was like, Mom, why don't I throw this coffee can away? No, next thing I know, something's growing in it. We can break it down to a pop can today. We have to understand that we have so much limited spaces in the way that they're building these homes. We don't have a lot of room to do a lot of things, especially when you live on a front porch patio where you barely got enough room to put your barbecue grill in the summer. So you're going to have to understand that you're going to have to get a pot, a box, maybe a wooden box, something like that. The variety of the container means a lot, because you have to have a container to start the garden off. The soil selection, the plant selection is very important too. Very important. When you talk about the soil, let's talk about some soil. Brandy, if I had a choice between getting sand or getting mulch dirt, wouldn't it be on me to find out which one of those two types of dirts that my plants could grow on?
Yes, and to figure out which one wouldn't be so much chemical based, if that makes sense, which one would help the oxygen come from it.
Oh, I understand. Thank you. I need a degree. I need ready for my diploma now. I'm good. All right, so we talked about the mulch. We talked about the mulchy dirt. We talked about the sandy dirt. Let me ask you something, Brandy. How about clay dirt? Are there herbs that can grow out of clay?
Yes, but not as many.
I understand. So basically, no matter how impoverished you are, or no matter what neighborhood you may be around, wherever you find dirt and put in a container, there's a chance that you can develop something and grow something to eat.
Yes.
That's great. So you said dandelions. So I noticed when I was a kid growing up, there was dandelions like growing everywhere. I saw one lady one time picking dandelions. I thought she was picking them because she was chasing the bees. So with dandelions, is that a diet that consists of a lot of vitamins?
Yes.
Really? And minerals?
Yes.
Really?
The omega-3s.
Okay.
The vitamin B12, vitamin D, majority of everything.
That's it. Why we can't find it in the store?
Because they don't want us to have it in the store.
Oh.
Yeah, they don't want us to have it. I feel like nowadays, it's like you said, like the container gardens, they want us to find our own resources to figure it out ourselves.
Mm-hmm. You know, and that's something that we should be able to do for ourselves. I think if my audience could give a little attention to what's really going on right now in this world with the way things are changing so rapidly, I think it would behoove us to understand that we have to change with the times. Do I have anything else on there? So if we don't, then we're going to get caught up. The selection of dirt is very important. Whatever dirt you have, it's going to take a while for you to get it to where it should be anyway. Fertilizer is very important too. You could take any type of a dead tree branch or dead tree bark, and it's actually fertilizer in it. Actually, it's going to go back into the dirt, so it's natural fertilizer. Most of the plants that we grow is good because it's going to bring critters, environments around in our community. They're already here. With the container garden, it's important. You could take that container back in the house and bring it back out into the sunlight. So there's no reason for it not to mature. I think it's very important. When you do a container garden, you need to realize that you have two types of plants, which you already know. One is the perennial. What is a perennial? Oh, perennial. Now I sound like James Brown. I'm supposed to know everything. Okay, the perennial is you don't have to plant it every year. Once you plant it once, you don't have to plant it again. So I know that I didn't mean to take that, but thank you for letting me explain that. You said you were going to let me do it. So I'm not going to overload you. So we want to get perennial plants when we deal with the container garden so that we don't have to keep going through the process over again. So let's talk about collard greens that grow in the winter, summer, and spring. So if we get a container garden and start growing collard greens, we should be able to do the collard greens as they grow. I'm not sure, but I do know that the dandelion green is a perennial plant too, and it grows every year. So even though the leaves are small, you'd be surprised how much power and impact you get from a small leaf. It's very important. I think also it's good to find a root that doesn't have finder roots involved in it. Those finder roots off of a plant are looking for water. They're searching for moisture. So they're sticking out everywhere on the plant. So let me get back to you. Is there anything you could tell me that could help me to understand why people today aren't interested more in herbs and the development of herbs in their life and in their diet?
I kind of think it's like a generational thing. If you're not really brought up on it, or if you're not, maybe if you don't have the resources, even though everything is literally outside, people literally neglect and not pay attention to it. So it's just like, it's all in the intentions. Is it being raised up on knowing anything about natural herbs and what they can help for you? Or majority of like America likes to go to the drug mart and go to get something like a Tylenol or an Excedrin and rather take that than take something else that could help and won't cause the effects of long-term anything happening to you. Long-term, you could have diabetes, long-term having pain in your body after taking a Tylenol for 35 years and realizing, oh, maybe I shouldn't have took this Tylenol, or having heart problems. It's more about what you're raised around, the generational thing. It's all about the consumption also. Usually the average person who does have a headache and the headache doesn't go away, whether it's a regular headache, a migraine headache, or a sinus headache, they'll continuously take pills every day instead of trying to find something natural, which is the easier way. You take something natural, the headache will go away. Even though it won't go away fast, it'll go away slower, and you won't have to continuously have to pop Tylenols, Excedrin, Advil, Aleve every day.
Beautiful. I couldn't have said that better myself. Someone is going to benefit from what you just said. So let me just take that one step further. We know that, let me see, how can I say this? When we leave the time of year like now, it's harvest time, but no one's harvesting anything, especially in the inner city. But in our life, we were born to rise at the sunrise and go and lay down, sleep at the sunset. That was a natural thing. Everything we did, we followed nature. Nature was our balance. So now, instead of us getting up when we're supposed to, following nature's time, we have to be at work at 6 o'clock. Then we got to go to lunch at 12. Then we have to go to somewhere else. So now we're not on a natural time. So you're talking about anxieties. You're talking about depressions. You're talking about headaches. Everything that Miss Brandy said is absolutely right. But you have to understand, even if you don't stress, it's a natural stress living under the conditions that we're living. Right now, if to rid yourself of some of the conditions that you have, let's try and get back to some of the natural ways of life. You know, this is September. Actually, it's harvest time. No matter what, how you look at it, it's harvest time. If a person, an individual, find it necessary to just go out in the backyard and just start digging some dirt, you'd be surprised the anxieties that it would relieve you of, because it's that natural time to harvest. When you start your container garden, you're going to find that your time is not going to be placed on just the mechanics that go along with everyday life. You're going to get back to nature. You're going to get back to the natural flow of things. You're going to start receiving the benefit of life and all the wonderful things that come along with it. You see our plants and herbs, they're not on a time frame. Like, they're on a natural time, and in that natural time, they do natural things. Those natural things we benefit from, but we have to be natural too. So Miss Brandy's absolutely correct. And it would just take a moment for us to take up time to breathe. Just right now, you can do it. Just breathe. Just breathe in and breathe out. See, without the anxieties that go along with breathing for a reason, just breathing to breathe, you're already releasing some of the things that go along with bad health, heart attacks, and so forth. I need people to understand that it don't take much garbage to swell your knee up. It doesn't take much garbage to put that pain in your back. I don't mean by garbage. I mean, it may cost a lot, but the things that you're eating, you need to understand that those things that you're eating are consumed for profit. For profit. And if there's going to be a profit, why can't it be a two-way street? People don't understand, if you're getting something for nothing, then, you know, you got a full belly of garbage. You're going to walk away like that. Go home and make you some dandelions. Go home to your container garden, take off some dandelion greens, boil them and eat them before you go to bed after you eat that big expensive meal that is not really consumable with anything except toxics. Miss Brandy is correct. This is, hopefully this is an ongoing thing with Miss Brandy. I've had some phenomenal guests on this show, but I think I've reached the pinnacle point at this point. I have gained so much from this conversation. Is there anything you can add? Just take your time and just take the microphone and...
Well, I will say this. In order to really get involved with herbs and the natural, you really have to go outside with no shoes on and get in tune with nature. Go take a walk. Go take a breather. Like he said, breathe in, breathe out. If you go outside and take your shoes off and walk in the grass, you will feel a heavenly relief. That's how you will get more in tune with your natural self. And then you'll see maybe it is okay to do natural herbs. Maybe it is okay to go make some dandelion tea or even eat some garlic, because garlic helps with cholesterol. It's more about getting in tune within yourself and nature. It's a combination. When you get together with a combination, herbs will really be a daily routine. And it'll make you feel so much better, have much more energy. You can even contribute working out, eating better, thinking better, achieving the goals that you would always want to achieve. That's how I feel.
I think that you are absolutely right. I've noticed that when I'm down south or when I am around my container garden, it's so important that I talk to my garden. I'm understanding Miss Brandy, and she's absolutely right in everything she says. And it's also important to take it one step further, that things that you say, everything can hear you. You're in a universe. This universe is not where you only can talk on a cell phone. You have to understand, your voice is not meant to travel over the cell phone. Your voice is meant to travel through herbs, through life, through trees, through air, through everything around you. It could go through walls. So when you start your container garden, don't be afraid to come in the evening after you've worked and talk to it, because it's a simple fact that I need you to let it know that it has time for you too. Not only did that job have time for you, not only did your kids have time for you, but that container garden, it wants some of your time too. So when you open your mouth and speak directly to your garden. Ask it, did it receive much oxygen a day? And did it send out a lot of carbon monoxide for me to breathe? Oops, no, the other way around. Carbon monoxide for the plant, and it's going to send the oxygen, right, for me. And thank it. Thank the plant for that. You know, back in the days, back in the 20s and 30s, when people had victory gardens, they talked to them all the time. Well, actually, there wasn't no television. There wasn't no cell phones. There wasn't just the radio. And they talked to them all the time. So let's not get away from that. That's one of the conditionings that we have in this society that we're living in. So it looks like I'm running out of time. So it's time for me to make a close here. So I'd like to say, in closing, thank you, my host. Thank you for your wonderful input. You will be back, hopefully. If I have to shake a tree down, I'm gonna get you back. So in closing, I'd like to say, we are placed on paths in this life that lead us and guide us through all the straits, the twists, peaks, valleys, and turns. Sounds horrible, but the good news is that in our journey, when we follow the signs, I quote, follow the signs from nature, the signs from the universe, and from the source of all things, our destination always reach an insightful, long-standing reward. And with that, I'd like to thank you for giving us the time today, and hope that we see you again, and we will be looking forward to it. So, adios, what they say in England, ta-ta, and thank you for joining us today.
See you guys.